when is a vapor barrier not a vapor barrier? And the answer to that is when there's something else acting as the vapor barrier. So let me try and explain that. Now, the reason I'm onto that is because I showed yesterday these. By the way, this is a typical warm roof construction with the vapor barrier in the right place, which is there. And this is a typical cold roof construction with the vapor barrier just there. I'm going to talk about both those in a second. But yesterday's video, we talked about people who phone me up and they say, can I put an air vapor control layer down at this level? And you better go and have a look at that video. I'll put a link to it below. And by the way, talking about links below, I've got 10 videos coming out soon, which are quick, to the point videos of all the questions asked about warm roof construction, and I've got 10 videos coming out about all the questions asked about cold roof construction, because all the time I'm answering the phone and people are saying to me, what about this and what about that? And it's quite clear that we need to be really quick and to the point to answer all these questions. And not only that, I can direct people to those videos and they can get good, clear information on both. And the reason I do these videos is I'm out here to help people. I like to help people. People phone me up for the advice. I learn from those people. They send me photographs. I get all sorts of information through. It helps me go out and help other people. And it helps me when I'm out doing roof work, tiled roofs, slate roofs, flat roofs. When I'm going out there, the more information I've got, the better that I can and my men can do the work. So this is, a group scenario. Everybody is learning from this. And most of the stuff that I'm talking about here, I've actually learned when I'm out on site with different surveyors, architects, and believe it or not, structural engineers. Structural engineers are really methodical how they work. And when I've been out questioning all of this kind of thing, they get the old pen and paper out and then they have a look at it and they do all their different calculations to work out what's going on with the movement of vapor up and down. And I've just been really lucky to be able to question these people. So when is a vapor barrier? When is a vapor barrier not a vapor barrier? When there's another vapor barrier that works better. So let me try and explain what that means. So internally in our room down below, and the reason these are here is because yesterday's video I was talking about the internal environment of a room being exactly the same in a warm roof construction all the way through, even down here. The internal environment, your table and chairs doesn't rot. It's internal. We don't have things rotten. We keep the moisture content and the temperature stable inside. And it's the same up here because it's a warm roof construction. You've got your air vapor control layer up here. So people phone me up and say, I've just put the air vapor control layer in my warm roof. Can I put another air vapor control layer down here? Can I use foil back plasterboard, etc., etc.? And the answer is no, because use the one that you've got. If you put another one down here, you can confuse the construction of what's going on. So any vapor that is coming up through this is being slowed down by the air vapor control layer. Now we have, with air vapor control layers, we have high resistance and low resistance air vapor control layers. This is a medium resistance. This is normally for cold roof construction. You can see where I've got it down here. This is very, very high. And this is where we need to get into and understand of what's going on. If we put another air vapor control layer down there, be it plastic, be it a foil backed plasterboard, which I don't think makes a very good air vapor control layer anyhow. How the hell do you fit it and seal all the joints? You can't. It's called an air vapor control layer because it's airtight. How can you fit a foil back plasterboard and make it airtight? Because you can't seal it from the top. Anyhow, if you have this at this level and you've got moisture rising from below coming up slowly, where you've got the pressure of the room down below, I don't want to go into why it does, but we have internal pressures that work their way out. So we've got this coming up, and this just pretend in our minds that we've got 10 lots of 10 little arrows of vapor coming up. If they're coming up and you put something like this at this level, this just assume that a little bit of vapor gets through. It's a vapor barrier, not a vapor stop. I'm not going to talk about what the difference is. You can go and look it up. So the vapor comes up, 10 little arrows, and this holds back, let's say holds back 8 over them. So we've got two that get up here. When the two get into this area here and they get to the back of this one, right, this is really strong. So this is going to stop those two from getting through. But it might let one through because it's not a vapor stop. So you've now got one trapped in here. And over a period of time, that one could be 2, 3, 4. It's going to build up. You're now allowing moisture to build up inside here because this is stopping it from coming out. And that's why you shouldn't have more vapor control layers in a build-up. Now it gets a little bit more complicated than that. So we must try and understand that if we've got 10 bits of vapor trying to get up here and 2 have got through and then 1's got through here, we've already explored that if you've got 1 trapped in here and every week, every month, every hour, whatever it is, you get another one and another one and another one, you could be building up moisture which would find it hard to go back down again. So that's a problem, could be a problem. Okay, you've got one that's good up here. Let's just understand the situation. The reason we put a air vapor control layer here, which is of high resistance, is because it is the most vapor resistant part of this build-up that we've got above the air vapor control layer. So every element above it must be less vapor resistant than what goes on here, because that one little arrow, when it gets to here, wants to go, oh, I've just hit the bottom of this PIR insulation, but I can easily get through that. So it wiggles its way up, and then it wiggles its way up, wiggles its way up, wiggles its way through that, and then when it gets to the top, it's going to hit the roofing membrane, and it gets to the roofing membrane, which theoretically is probably quite a high has got quite a high vapor resistance to it. It's going to get there, but this wants to have a higher vapor resistance than this. So it gets there and it's going to find itself difficult to get out, but it's still going to get out, in which case you don't get a build-up up here. So all the components up here should have less of a vapor resistance than this particular one here. One point I want to say is that some manufacturers say that you can use the foil on foil-backed PIR as a air vapor control layer. Well, theoretically they're right, because it is a foil. It has a very high resistance to moisture, which is great, but you don't want to use it. And the problem is, having it built up in here, you could say that you're putting in extra air vapor control layers above this if you've got foil up here, and it's not a good thing to do, I've got to say. However, the tissue faced, which this one is so expensive and also hard to get hold of. Everybody uses the foil faced, but if you don't tape the edges, that one is going to probably find itself around to an edge to get out. That one arrow of moisture, and as you can see the dents in all of this, it's probably going to be able to get out through those. So realistically, we go back to this as a robust construction, and that's what I have taken from all of this. Is a robust construction consists of having the best air vapor control layer that you can have at that level. That way you can be pretty confident that anything that gets in past there is always going to be able to work its way out. And this answers the question that recently it came up, somebody talking about not putting timber in the build-up on top and just putting the roof membranes over the top without having any kind of timber, whether it be OSB or whether it be what they call marine ply. And marine ply is rubbish, I've got to say. Proper marine ply is unbelievably expensive. This new marine ply is rubbish. But more to the point is that theoretically, when you think about it, is that the migration all the way up here with this over the top, you're not going to get a build-up. If you don't get a build-up, there's no way that this is going to rot. So put it in or don't put it in, it's not a problem. The fact is that if you haven't got a good, well-installed robust air vapor control layer of high resistance in at that level, you could get a build-up of moisture inside here, in which case, if you've got wood on the top, it can rot. And that's why I've been doing warm roof constructions now for 35 years. I've never had one that has rotted with the timber on the top. We've done them with the timber on the top. We've done them with the on the tissue face. I show them all on YouTube. We've never had a problem. But yeah, I go to many warm roof constructions and I find that the timber's rotted. Why? When we strip it, we find they haven't done the air vapor control correctly. So let's just, before I finish, let's just go over to here and have a look at what's going on over here. Because over here, we've got an air vapor control layer and we've got lots of foil. One of the things that you just got to take away, these are models. And of course, I haven't foamed all this in and I haven't foamed all this in. This air vapor control layer is airtight as well. By the time this air vapor control layer has been put on over here, all the way round, that wants to be airtight. It's airtight against your walls. It's airtight everywhere. So when the insulation's put in and foamed in, it's not only thermally correct, it's also airtight. When we come over here, this build-up, all of this has got to be foamed in all the way around. This has been put on, taken and lapped around all the walls around here, and it is airtight. We assume that that's the correct build-up. So you've got 10 bits of moisture here. You may get a couple go through here. It's going to hit this. There's going to be penetrations. Nothing is taped on this whatsoever. So it'll be foamed, butted up, foamed all the way around, as airtight as you can get it. All of this is going to be airtight. All of this is foamed in. Everything is airtight. But nevertheless, the foil on top of all these different layers, although they could be classed as an air vapor control layer, we are hoping that those two that get up to this point here and get out, and they don't build up inside. Now I use the word hoping, and that's because realistically, in the perfect world, we wouldn't hope on anything. In the perfect world, we would use that insulation. But it only comes in 600 by 1.2 meter slabs, where the other ones are 2.4 by 1.2. They're bigger. Everybody stocks them and they're cheaper. So all I'd say is that in the perfect world, I would always use this because it will not confuse the build-up. I would use it here, but you can't, again, you just can't get it. So that is exactly what's going on. When is a vapor barrier not a vapor barrier? When there's something else acting as the vapor barrier. If this has been helpful, give me the thumbs up, subscribe, ask me any questions. Lots of stuff coming in these days about pitched roofs and some of these, the bad wording on whether the underfelt that people are using is air open or air open and vapor open. Manufacturers are just not putting the information on their advertising. Well, it's not even the manufacturers, it's all these websites out there. They're incorrectly saying that something is vapor open, something is air open when it's only vapor open. Anyhow, hopefully speak to you all soon. Any questions, anything you need, please get in touch. Speak soon. Bye bye.